the recording. We're going live.
Well, here we are again. Take two. Go ahead, Dan. I feel like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. Bill and I sat here just for, 5 minutes or so, starting out broadcast 5, and then we realized we never hit the record button. So, anyway, we're back.
Yeah, and as Dan just said, this is our fifth podcast. So they're moving right along. You'll see a few changes. There's an opening page. There's a disclaimer page now. A little background music to get you interested.
And that was Joe that was humming that music.
And you can see we actually added a camera. We have different cameras for us now. And the one that Dan's on is a new one. And you can tell the picture is different. So by next week we should have another camera just like that one. So
like my shirt?
Yeah. Oh, what does your shirt say today? Making spirits bright. Oh, all right.
Next season starts, I keep just rotating for Christmas.
Yeah.
Some might even, the shirts, they even turn around and wear them backwards. You don't even notice.
So, what do you want to start with today there, Dan?
Well, today we were getting ready to line up today with elections and amenities. Amenities I'll get to, something that somebody brought up to me. But elections, again, are coming up in our own community. We're not sure about your own, but we really want to engage the people in the parks that we live in to tell them to participate, to help, to run, to, be part of this voting process.
Okay.
So we'll get on to, you got a couple of things on elections and how to encourage people to run for boards. And today I got one here that's also, this is a new requirement, it's a federal law that we just talked about, that FINA, that, if you get on a board, any board, anywhere, you're going to require to have to just register. It's just a formality that you name who you are, that kind of thing. Just to make sure that people are on the up and up and you're not getting on a board and you're a criminal, I guess, or something like that. But that's just something you'll have to fill out this year. If you need a copy, let us know.
Yeah, and all it is they want to track, because there's been a lot of fraud on HOAs. They've caught a lot of people doing things.
Cooking the books, hands in their pockets, whatever they want to call them.
Wiping out treasuries and disappearing. They want to be able to track these people.
That's right. Some people have dragon ladies and real mean people that want to keep that stuff in check. And I understand that,
So, but anyway, to get back, we were talking about elections, and how important they really are. And they are important. Because if you've got an HOA board that consistently seems to act the same way, not really so much in the interest of the people that live in that community, but more so for their own agenda, whatever. The only way to really change that is, at the election time. To vote for the people that are actually trying to do stuff for your community. Not people that come in and things like last year we had an item was turned down 3 times by our planning committee to put it up for a motion to the board. So the board waited for the election, and they came back and they had like what you would call a super majority, and they decided, well, we want that anyway, and it's a bad deal. Well, they just passed the motion to hire this contractor and went ahead, even though it cost us a lot more money. And that's like telling a community, well, that's what we want to do. They don't care how they spend our money, even though they keep telling us they do. They don't.
You got to listen to the community.
So, you want to encourage people to run for the homeowners association board. And it can be challenging, but effective strategies can help motivate participation. Here's somewhat of a guide to inspire potential candidates. And I do believe this came off AI, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, artificial intelligence.
Just kind of asked, artificial intelligent computer. What is the kind of things? Well, the question's right there. How do you encourage people to run for the board?
Yeah. And, communicate the importance.
Yeah.
Highlight the impact. I think I started to do that already. About how do you change things in your community. It starts with the board of directors.
Yeah.
And like I said, you want to look at the community's quality of life, the property values, and any kind of long-term development. I mean, our community has been around many years, and it's done okay, but things are starting to falter now. They always thrived on, they said we're a 5-star community. Well, I don't know if that's so true anymore. Because there is stuff that is, that hasn't been upgraded or replaced. And
You need to have a say. You need to,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't go to meetings. If you want to say, you have to go to meetings. You have to be part of it.
and here's a good one. Share the board's role in maintaining and improving the neighborhood to align with residents' interests. We just talked about that. This board that we're dealing with, they really don't seem to care too much unless you're part of a certain group. Then you get anything you want.
We saw that with on one board meeting in the past 6 months where somebody had handed our management company a petition
Yeah.
of over 100 votes, and they ignored it. They left it sitting on the table.
Didn't even recognize the petition.
Didn't acknowledge that you left it there. Didn't talk about
In
it.
fact, I asked the president about it at that meeting.
Yeah.
And he says, what petition? He didn't get one. I said, yes, you did. Because I saw the email that he, when he replied to the person that sent it.
That's interesting, Bill. I have a thing here that I asked the AI computer, what does it say about an HOA president? I guess in any world, have two directors resign within 6 months, And it's like, wow, some of the things, the negative implications, poor communication, a toxic environment goes without saying. What I feel bad for is the people that actually voted for those directors. Now you don't have a say. You voted for Joe User, and basically the HOA president said, I don't care.
Yeah,
Shame.
and that's what he's saying, and they ignored it then after that, because I tried to bring it up again. He just moved on to the next piece of business that they wanted to deal with.
I think one of the things in our own community is maybe not that people are ignorant to things that are going on, is they just don't care, or they have their own interests. I'm happy sitting at home watching TV, or going to the pool when it's open, or whatever, and that's fine. Do that.
And a lot of them are, I wouldn't run for the board. Do you see what they do to people on that board?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
People that just sit and want questions answered, and they don't want to talk about it,
Yep.
they bully them, and they're just outright rude to them.
Yeah, I've heard you're a bully. Is that
Yeah,
true?
yeah. Oh, me?
Is that why you were throwing Tootsie Rolls at me when I came in the door?
Yeah, probably. Can I tell you? Down here in Hooterville.
Oh yeah, that's a hoot. I love it. All right, next time maybe I'll. Was it Hooterville, the Grinch? Was it Hooterville? Did he stole from? I think it was. Right? Next Christmas I'll come dressed as Hooters. As the Grinch.
I'd like to see that. All right.
The Grinch.
Let's move on. All right. The next thing on the running for the board, number 2 that they came up with was simplify the commitment.
Yeah.
Clarify the responsibilities.
Yeah.
Clearly outline the time commitment duties and decision-making processes to alleviate fears of overcommitment. And offer support. Assure candidates they will receive training, resources, and support from current members. I haven't seen any of that. Have you?
No, I saw free breakfast when I was getting up.
Yeah, that was it,
They give a presentation about their management
Yeah.
company.
If you're not on their team, they want nothing to do with you. They make an agenda and they don't even talk to me. They don't ask me if there's anything I'd like to add. Nothing.
And when you do want to add something, they don't want to hear it.
They don't want to hear it. We got that on video last month, so. Of course, offer support. Sure candidates, will help them,
Here's some great topics I'd like to see in the future from you guys to write about and ask us about them. HOA topics of basic governance, budgeting and financial planning, tips in improving communication between the board and residents. That's a big one. People should be asking about that every day. How do you mediate conflicts between homeowners and the board? That's a tough one. We don't do that at all. There's a whole list of things here that are pretty good things about changing in the homeowner needs, and you have to be flexible for sure. About the laws around HOAs, we should get a lawyer in our community. We really should. Not for the community, but for the membership.
That'd be nice.
I'd kick into that, to be honest
But
with you.
it tends to get expensive really fast.
I bet it does.
And also when you're looking for potential board members, look around if anybody could be a good potential leader. And then approach the individuals who are active in the community or have relevant skills like finance or project management, One-on-one conversations. Directly ask them to consider running, explaining why their skills and perspectives would be available.
I had a gal reach out to me. I'm waiting for her to give me a call some afternoon. Talk about what to expect, what to do. She wants to run.
Yeah.
It's good.
So, highlight the leadership experience, networking opportunities, and new skills they can gain. Then again, in this kind of community, people aren't really looking to gain new skills,
No.
This is a retirement community. It's 55 and older where we live. You mentioned how serving on a board can enhance their reputation in the neighborhood. Or not enhance.
Well, I guess enhancing skills at a place like ours, where we're all retired, just shuffleboard, golf lessons, things like that. If you have those kind of amenities, why not have practices and teach people how to do it.
Well, let's just do a little aside here. I have skills that people in this community, most of them, don't even want or don't want to go near. Let's put it that way. And I try to hold a couple of times a year a computer class. I call it, Computer 101 with one of the clubhouses, and I just say, bring your device with you. Now, if you have a desktop computer, I don't expect you to drag that down there. But if you've got a laptop or a tablet or even a smartphone, and you really want to know more about it, the class runs very simply. Bring your questions.
I get calls like that from all kinds of people. Help me with my phone, help me with my TV, help me with my computer.
I got a call yesterday. A couple around the corner here just called me up. She says, "We got your name." I said, "Oh, all right." I don't advertise, let's say.
That's good though, I'm glad.
But yeah, people call me. I get a couple of calls a week. And they said, "Our computer just stopped working." I said, "Well, that don't sound good." So I went over and looked at it, and I said, "Yep, it sure did." So I took it with me. I got it back here, and I plugged in a different power pack. And guess what?
It's working.
That's the problem. So I ordered one. It came today, and they have their computer back.
Here's one that we read just a few minutes ago. Remember, I went through this because we weren't recording. I'm silly. I can't believe I didn't hit that button. But this is, I'd like to read it again real quick. This is about HOA support. When describing positive aspects of HOA support, you should use words like responsive, proactive, collaborative, communicative, community-focused, attentive, helpful, supportive, transparent, effective, reliable, diligent, dedicated, engaged, approachable, understanding, fair, and highlighting the commitment to maintaining a pleasant living environment and fostering a strong sense of community with your neighborhood. I mean, I went down that list mentally when I first read this, and I thought to myself, why did we miss the boat on this? I mean, this is the kind of thing I would expect from somebody that, I don't believe hardly anybody on our board is approachable, dedicated. They might be dedicated to what they want, but not to the community.
So I only have a couple of little points left. Try to foster transparency. It's hard when you have a board that really doesn't want to do it. Even though they say they do, they don't. And, because, it's inclusive. You feel more inclusive when they're being transparent with everybody. And it encourages trust. And recognize the contributions. Publicly appreciate current and past board members to showcase the value of service. And provide incentives. Most HOA, well, all, in Florida at least, all HOA board members are unpaid because that's actually in the statute. And consider small perks like waived HOA fees, recognition plaques, or public appreciation events for their time and effort. Yeah, you can't get to waived HOA fees. That's considered a payment. So,
that would be nice, though, huh?
Yeah,
I'd go back on the board.
Yeah. But by combining clear communication, personal encouragement, and focus on the positive impact of serving, you can increase interest and participation in your board.
Here's one that I shared with our community the other day, Bill. I just want to share it to everybody else that may listen in case you missed it.
What do you got?
In Largo, where we live, our community, there's a non-emergency phone number for the fire department. Now, of course, somebody mentioned to me that as in our community, you would get that as a new owner. They'd give you a piece of paper that would have that. But of course, if you bought 20 years ago, you may not remember it. But this is like for fall assist. It's for non-medical emergencies, and it's 727-588-4765. This came directly from our fire department. I encourage people to use it instead of calling 911.
Yeah.
It's fun to share that.
Like big guys like me, you know.
Yeah,
Not a lot of
exactly.
people can get me off the
I
ground,
couldn't help
you
him.
know.
I couldn't pick him up. No
No.
way. Look at he's already brought me with candy. You got anything else on elections? I mean, to me, it's important. It is. We got 2 weeks coming up on our own community. You need to get us when you already started. Well, that was the laws you already talked about. Yeah, and you read that one already.
Here's one I missed. Engage the community.
Mm-hmm.
You know, host informational events, arrange Q&A sessions or meet and greets where current board members share their experiences. Newsletters and social media use community communication channels to spotlight board achievements and encourage nominations. We have our own in-community TV channel here,
Yeah.
and it's mostly used to advertise things that are going on, or to try and remind people of certain rules and regulations that aren't being followed, you know, things like that. But I never see any kind of informational stuff like that out there.
You know what I would have loved to have seen? The other day, a bunch of folks in our park did a Christmas pageant. They did a wonderful job with it. It would have been great to record that and put it on our community channel. There's pros and cons to that. Some people say, well, if you put it on a channel, they won't come. Why would they come if you have it on the channel? Well, I'm not saying put it on at the same time. Maybe a couple days later or a week, trim it down, whatever. Just for the people who don't get to go, you know, because it's cold, they're too old, they can't sit in the chairs, whatever.
Even if you don't put it on the community channel, record it anyway and put it up with the website.
Yeah.
They can put it there,
Yeah.
you know, and let it run for a month or so, you know,
Yeah.
and let people see it that way, you know, because there are people that work and have other things going on in their lives and they can't quite make every event that goes on, you know.
That's right. That's right.
I didn't go, but I heard it was a wonderful event.
It was absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, so this is what we started with on the last podcast, and I did it backwards. So I'm glad we're redoing this.
That's all right. One of the things that we talked about, that somebody had mentioned to me, it was very interesting. Hi, Donnie.
Hi.
Is amenities. You know, everybody has amenities in their parks. Do they charge for the park? You know, because things like that could offset your maintenance fees. You could use the money for all kinds of improvements in the park, things like that. But you know, I asked the AI computer, what are the pitfalls for benefits and pitfalls to something like that? And they gave me a list. You know, fairness. You know, offset maintenance costs. Discourages overuse or misuse, especially if you're paying for it. You know, those are considered benefits. Resident pushback would be a pitfall for sure. You know, some may feel that they don't need to be paying for those things. Abusive administrative burdens, decreased participation. You know, because somebody asked me that. Somebody said, "Hey, did you ever think about what it would mean to this community if they charged you for amenities?" In other words, you pay an entrance fee, not every time you go to play something like, let's pay tennis, for instance, just as an example, but you would pay a membership to tennis, just like if you have a private golf course, I'm sure they charge you that as well. I know our community does. So why wouldn't you charge for all the amenities? You know, it was a great question. I thought I'd bring it up to the community because I would love to hear from feedback from anybody here in any community, in our own, everyone else, it doesn't matter. What do you think about that? Should they be charging for amenities? Do they? That's the question of the week.
It's funny you brought that up because, you know, there's been a number of people here that have asked me about that.
Yeah, I know, it's interesting.
And they said, he says, why are we even charging a fee for the golf course?
Mhm.
It's an amenity
Yeah.
to the community.
And I think that's why people brought it up to me, because, you know,
Right. And, you know, why are we paying extra to use the golf course?
you know, it's
When it
interesting.
should be, you know, free to everybody.
Yeah, read that one right there. That's the question right there. I asked that question right there. Why would you charge for one and not all?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's some great points there. There really is.
My point is, they're trying to keep people off. You know, doesn't cost more than it costs to run the pools here. You know, our maintenance on our pools is very high because what they've got to maintain.
I mean, each home in our community does some kind of contributing to the golf course, whether you play or not. So why wouldn't I be allowed to just play?
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's a thought. They're gonna right away. The board will come back and say, "Well, if we do that, your HOA fee is gonna go up."
I'm gonna go over anyway.
How much? How much? Why don't you let us decide that, not you? You know? And that's a question that's been raised to me quite a bit in the 2 years that I've been on this board.
Yeah.
People want to know that, you know. And they said, if we're going to charge for that one, then why don't we charge for others? They're always saying they don't have money, but we run the surplus
It's
every
interesting.
year in our budget.
If you list, in any community, let's take ours for an example. An amenity that they charge here for, right off the bat, is like golf. And then, of course, you also have to pay for RV parking if you have an
This is
RV,
true.
or boats, things like that. Why?
Yeah.
Good question. I can't believe it's 20 minutes already.
Oh, yeah, I think we'll go on a little bit further today, though, huh?
Yeah, sure, sounds good. We covered a lot of it.
Don't worry, if they get bored with us, hopefully they'll send us an email and
Change the
say,
channel.
keep it short, guys,
Yeah.
you know. But,
Well, we've had a lot of feedback from people. Most of the feedback I get is via email, or
yeah,
they'll just simply approach me.
yeah. I've seen a couple of, there's actually been a couple of comments also on the YouTube, because this will get posted to YouTube, you know that, Dan.
Yeah.
And on YouTube, there's been a couple of comments, people are quite happy to see this happening. Most of them are from our own community, you know, and like thinkers, you know, they're tired of the non-transparency and things like that, and they're just really glad somebody is talking about it in an open forum.
I'm sure every community has a problem.
Oh, sure. We're no different than anybody else. No.
Whether it's a management company that runs it, or a board, or one individual, whatever.
I have a friend that's part of the Florida Mobile Home Association, and she ran for the board and got on the board. Very similar to my situation, and she kept asking questions and going to the state, and all they did was bully her.
Yeah, she
And
eventually
bully her.
sold and left the park.
That's one. The other one was in a different park, and she's actually the regional, the district president of that chapter.
Right.
And she was telling me her story about what they did, what they've done to her. And she says they finally won. She says, I don't want to move because she likes where she lives.
But, right.
But what the HOA board is doing there to everybody is a crime. But nobody wants to hear it. You know, the police department don't want to get involved, even though there are statutes being broken. They don't want to hear it. So, and the last thing I'm going to touch on quick here is, this is another thing that irks a lot of people, because not everybody can go to a board meeting, right? And the minutes that this board produced, yeah, they are funny. They are a joke.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought you meant. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh.
They are a joke. But so we did some digging. Actually, Dan did. And what are the laws in Florida about maintaining a board meeting recording, a video recording? And the rules are different, and it depends on the type of organization. HOAs and condominium associations, Florida statutes regulate how these associations manage their records. For condominium associations, which we are not one, under the Florida Condominium Act, associations are required to maintain official records, which include audio and video recordings of meetings if they exist. These recordings must be kept for at least 1 year. And HOAs, similarly under the Florida Homeowners Association Act 720.303, meeting recordings that qualify as official records must be kept for at least 1 year. In this community, as soon as the written minutes come out, they destroy the video. I mean, you can't even get a copy of it. According to this, the statute says they're supposed to have them for a year. And nonprofits and other organizations, for other types of nonprofits, Florida law, the statute does not specifically require the recordings or retention of board meeting recordings. However, any retained recordings could be subject to document retention policies set by the organization or by its bylaws. For both condominium HOA associations, access to meeting recordings, members have the right to inspect and make copies of these recordings during the retention period. Well, I've been told you can't get a copy. You can come down and view it, but you can't get a copy.
Interesting. You
Yeah.
used to be able to bring a thumb drive down and say, hey, give me a
Right.
copy of that.
Yeah, the last time I tried that, they wouldn't do it. Associations must make the records available to members upon request within 10 days. Written request.
If anybody wants a copy of that, I have a copy.
So-
I'll gladly bring it down to you. Come into the office and say, hey, I want a copy of that meeting. It says right here I'm entitled to it.
Yeah. And if you need the statutes and that, I'm more than happy to send you. Just send us an email and we'll send you that information. You know, and we could go on and on today because
Oh, boy.
there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is it's December and it's election season.
Mhm.
It's funny, Dan. Nobody has come out yet and said they're running.
Mhm.
And we only have, 10 days left before they have to post with the office
I've heard-
that they're running.
Yeah, I've heard a few names dropped.
Yeah, but I haven't heard anybody actually come out and say they're running.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting this year. And well, we're hoping. We have hope for a couple of people. So, but other than that, again, you know, we're all getting ready for Christmas. You know, as you can see, Dan, this place is like Christmas
Oh, yeah.
exploded in here.
My wife hasn't started the
Yeah.
inside. I did the outside, and as a matter of fact, my neighbor called me the other day, and he said that they've got a call from the space shuttle. They can see my lights, see if they can turn them down a little bit. It looks like Griswold.
Yeah, yeah. Sounds familiar from here too. You know. The good news is I had nothing to do with putting Christmas up. That's my girlfriend. She takes care of that, and she's got help. So we're very blessed that way. So anyway, until we talk again, which will probably be next week.
It's been fun, as
Yeah,
always.
It surely has been. And again, any questions, comments, or anything, please email us at hoacommunityliving@gmail.com. You all have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
It's been a pleasure. Bye-bye.